Next, Erika Harold, the Republican candidate for Attorney General, gives a speech to Republican voters gathered at the state fairgrounds for Governor's Day. She then gives the Illinois Channel a brief interview and discusses some of the issues on her campaign. This runs about 10 minutes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's what attorney generals like to hear. I'm delighted to see so many familiar faces here today, and I could not be more honored to be your nominee. Exactly 1 year ago to the day, I announced my candidacy for the office of Attorney General, and I promised to take on the Madigan machine. Then, exactly 1 month after I announced my candidacy, Lisa Madigan announced that she was no longer seeking re-election after all. But when Lisa Madigan withdrew from the race, my opponent, State Senator Kwame Raoul, he entered the race. And he immediately dismissed me as a mere Miss America. And he said that Lisa Madigan was not afraid of facing me. Well, Lisa Madigan may not have been afraid to face me, but Senator Raoul apparently is, because he's been trying to limit debates and public appearances and joint forums. Our state deserves an attorney general who is tough enough to stand on any stage with any person, even if that person is just a mere Miss America. But Senator Raoul has shown no willingness to step up and take on the tough battles or to stand up to Speaker Madigan. Instead, he's spent the past 14 years in Springfield being a rubber stamp for Madigan's agenda, placing political interests above the people's interests. Whether it's gerrymandering legislative districts, blocking term limits, pushing unbalanced budgets, skipping pension payments, or hiking income or sales taxes, Senator Raoul has been marching behind Madigan as opposed to fighting for fairness. And in our first statewide ad of the general election season, which went up yesterday statewide, we're highlighting one of Senator Raoul's biggest failures, our state's broken property tax system, a system that's riddled with conflicts of interest that keep increasing the cost of living for families in Illinois. Rather than reform the system to protect homeowners, Senator Raoul literally teamed up with Madigan as chief sponsors of a bill to allow property tax hikes on homeowners in Chicago. Meanwhile, Madigan's law firm continues to rake in millions by appealing property taxes for the powerful, leaving Illinois families with the bill. Senator Raoul is trying to limit debates with me because he knows he has no good defense for this record, and he knows he has no good defense for the 14-year partnership with Speaker Mike Madigan. But Illinois deserves an attorney general who is tough enough to fight for the people's interests and who will not cave to political interests. I will be that attorney general for all of Illinois. I will fight to restore the rule of law to our state and to uphold the Constitution. I will fight the public corruption that undermines honest government in our state. I'll fight the opioid epidemic that is taking the lives of too many Illinoisans. I will fight to reform the workers' compensation system that is driving too many jobs outside of Illinois. I will fight to reform the property tax system that is hurting homeowners. I will show them how tough Miss America is. Right here. And I'll fight to reform our criminal justice system that squanders tax dollars and undermines human dignity. You can be assured that every day I will wake up committed to fighting for you and your family to have a fair shake, a fair shot, and a fair government. And not only will I fight for you, I will win for you in November. This will be a tough fight. But as Senator Raoul will find out, I may be Miss America, but I am not Miss Congeniality. I am the fighter that you need to provide balance in Springfield, and I am the fighter that you need to help move our party forward as we reform this state. So thank you for your commitment to our state. God bless you. I will not let you down.
Following her
Thank
speech,
you.
Ms. Harold gave a brief interview
very
to the
much.
Illinois Channel.
Thank
Erika
you.
Harold, thank you for joining us on the Illinois Channel, and you seem like such a pleasant person, but you told the crowd that you are not Miss Congeniality. What was your point?
Oftentimes people have stereotypes associated with people who have won pageants. And what I wanted people to know is that I was tough enough to fight for them and tough enough to be their next Attorney General.
What issues are you really focused on? Why did you want to run for Attorney General?
I wanted to be able to fight public corruption within our state. I wanted to be able to help reform our workers' compensation system and the criminal justice system. I also wanted to take a more leadership role on the fight against the opioid epidemic, and I wanted to help deliver property tax relief to Illinoisans who are being hurt by a system that is riddled with conflicts of interest and too often seems arbitrary.
Illinois sadly has a reputation for corruption. How would you approach taking on corruption?
There are a couple of ways I would approach taking on corruption. One is to use the full measure of statutory authority that the Attorney General already has. I've also called upon the General Assembly to provide the Attorney General's office with additional tools to be able to better investigate. Those tools include things like the ability to convene a statewide grand jury, the ability to issue subpoenas, and I also think that the Public Access Counselor within the Attorney General's office, which enforces compliance with the Freedom of Information Act and the Open Meetings Act, we need more robust funding of that office and that division, because it actually equips the media, watchdog groups, and citizens to be able to help prevent corruption from occurring in the first place.
As we stand here, it's starting to drizzle a little bit, so we won't take it too long. Maybe we can do a longer one. But let me ask you, one of the things, and I believe Senator Raul said this, who's your Democratic opponent, he and Mr. Pritzker have often railed against the Trump administration, and we get into the whole issue of sanctuary cities and states and all. To what extent, what is your approach as far as working with the federal government on federal policies and carrying out the federal law within the state of Illinois?
My approach is to make sure that I'm upholding Illinois law and Constitution. And if the federal government were to exceed the scope of its discretion, I would not hesitate to challenge them. But if it's simply a policy disagreement based upon a choice that they constitutionally have the authority to make, I don't believe it's the role of the Attorney General to involve the state in litigation where there's no legal standing to actually pursue it in the first place.
One last question. When you go and you talk to the citizens, as you do, what are you hearing from them? What do they want?
They want somebody who will take the partisanship out of the office, somebody who will be independent and hold both parties accountable, but someone who fundamentally will fight for them to have a fair playing field. They don't like the fact that there seems to be two sets of rules, one for the political class and one for regular citizens. They want everyone to be treated equally under the law, and as Attorney General, I will fight to make that happen.
As it starts to rain, we'll say goodbye and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.